On September 1st, 1917, Manfred von Richthofen, the famed Red Baron, with dozens of victories already under his belt, took to the skies in Germany's newest fighter plane, the Fokker DR-1. Once airborne, he was stunned by its exceptional agility, executing tight turns and acrobatic maneuvers with ease, which he knew would give him a significant edge in dogfights. Its responsive handling and impressive climb rate offered an exhilarating and unmatched flying experience. Within just 2 days, the Red Baron had shot down 2 enemy aircraft. Unbeknownst to him, he would claim 17 more victories aboard this remarkable machine. Enthusiastic after his initial flights, Richthofen reported to the Kogenluft, commanding general of the air service, urgently recommending immediate re-equipping of fighter squadrons with the aircraft. Because of its association with the Red Baron, the DR-1 is remembered as the greatest airplane of World War I. However, not even the most iconic aircraft of the entire war could overcome its numerous structural weaknesses. These underlying shortcomings ultimately cost the lives of German pilots at a time when the nation could ill afford to lose anyone, much less its most celebrated ace. In the spring of 1917, the skies above the Western Front witnessed the debut of the newest Royal Naval Air Service fighter, the Sopwith Camel triplane. With its distinctive 3-wing design, the unique configuration of this innovative model provided exceptional lift, allowing British pilots to execute rapid and responsive turns that left their adversaries struggling to keep up. Armed with a single yet precise Vickers machine gun, the triplane delivered accurate and effective firepower, quickly proving itself superior when pitted against the much more heavily armed Albatros fighters used by the Luftstreitkräfte. In April, Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron himself, publicly commented that this model was the best Allied fighter at that time. News of the Sopwith triplane's dogfight successes soon reached the German and Austro-Hungarian military commands. Recognizing the potential threat, the Eidflak, Germany's aircraft design bureau, hastily ordered the development of their own triplane fighters, known as Dreideckers. With these commands, the race was on to counter the Sopwith's dominance, and German aircraft manufacturers scrambled to respond, with some adapting existing designs and others pursuing more innovative approaches, starting a triplane craze in the nation. One key figure in this effort was Anthony Fokker, the renowned Dutch aircraft designer and company owner. After inspecting a captured Sopwith triplane during a visit to Fighter Squadron Jasta 11, the company director returned to his Schwerin factory, and with a burning desire to create a rival machine, he tasked Reinhold Plutz, his chief designer, with building a triplane that could match or even surpass the British fighter's capabilities. Plutz delivered the V-4, a small triplane with a rotary engine, steel tube fuselage, and thick wings, first developed in collaboration with fellow designer Hugo Junkers. However, initial tests showed that the prototype had high control forces due to unbalanced ailerons and elevators. Instead of submitting the failed design for review with the government, the team made a revised version called the V5, with balanced ailerons and elevators and longer wings, as well as interplane struts and support structures between them to reduce wing flexing. On July 14, 1917, the German military ordered 20 pre-production aircraft. Simultaneously, the V5 prototype was tested and battered so much it was destroyed by the following month. As these prototypes and pre-production models took to the skies, test pilots greeted them with enthusiasm. The Dreidecker surpassed anything they had previously flown. Soon, a new enemy was fighting for aerial supremacy in the Western theater. The finished Fokker DR fighter's iconic triplane configuration was cantilevered, meaning the wings, made primarily of wood and fabric covering, did not require external bracing. The type featured an advanced structural box spar and thick airfoil cross-section wings attached to a steel tubular frame, providing strength and rigidity while keeping the aircraft lightweight, with a maximum takeoff weight of approximately 1,290 pounds, all powered by a 110 horsepower Oberursai UR2 rotary engine. After the prototype flew for the first time on July 17th, construction on the first 20 models began the following month. The famed ace Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, was given a pre-production model of the fighter, flying it for the first time on September 1st, 1917. In the next 2 days, he shot down 2 enemy aircraft, followed by another batch of victories the rest of the year. Lieutenant Werner Voss, another one of Germany's most legendary pilots, also achieved victories within mere days of his inaugural flights, flying his pre-production model in early September. By the 11th, he had already claimed 8 enemy aircraft, news of his triumphs spreading rapidly across the Western Front. Overwhelmingly enthusiastic about the new triplane's performance, von Richthofen told his superior that the DR-1 was indeed better than the British Sopwith triplane, and that fighter squadrons must be re-equipped with the new Fokker DR-1 fighter right away. He also told his fellow pilots that they would soon be able to, quote, move like devils and climb like monkeys. With the Red Baron's seal of approval, orders were swiftly placed for 300 DR-1s. Although the model could only fly for about 80 minutes before having to be refueled, it was still relatively cheap to manufacture, an important factor for a Germany stunted by a British naval blockade. The model was first allocated to Jagdstaffel 1, the Richthofen Circus, and would ultimately equip as many as 15 Jasta fighter squadrons. The Fokker DR-1's debut on the front lines in October was met with praise from pilots. But the DR-1 lacked in maximum speed at a mere 115 miles per hour. Its 3-wing design made up for in incredible agility, allowing for precise acrobatic maneuvers. According to Franz Hamer of Jasta 6, quote, the triplane was my favorite fighting machine because it had such wonderful flying qualities. I could let myself stunt, looping and rolling, and could avoid an enemy by diving with perfect safety. Unlike most rotary engine planes that excelled in turns favoring the engine's torque, the DR-1 was equally adept at turning in both directions. Allied pilots who survived encounters with the DR-1 quickly learned that attempting to outmaneuver it in light turns was a perilous mistake, one that aces like Richthofen exploited to devastating effect. Armed with twin Spandau machine guns, the DR-1 packed a much harder punch than the single-gunned Allied fighters it frequently faced. These weapons could be fired independently or simultaneously, and were synchronized to fire through the propeller arc. The model's impressive climb rate further enhanced its capabilities, solidifying the Fokker DR-1's reputation as an exceptional dogfighter. Within a little over a month, this breakthrough model had already become a staple of the German Imperial Air Service. Within days, all its praise would be put into question. In spite of its fearsome and well-earned reputation in dogfights, as the initial production of the Fokker DR-1 increased, a series of tragic incidents unfolded. On September 14th, Oberlieutenant Kurt Wolff, commander of Jasta 11, was shot down while flying a DR-1, falling to a Sopwith Camel from Britain's Naval 10th Squadron. Even ace Werner Voss, one of the earliest advocates for the model, also met his end aboard a DR-1. On September 23rd, barely a month into using this new fighter, he achieved his 48th victory during a fierce aerial battle with 7 enemy aircraft. As bullets peppered his triplane, Voss managed to damage all enemy aircraft before plummeting to the ground. With these accidents mounting, it became clear that despite its initial promise, the Fokker DR-1's 3-wing design was plagued by flaws and construction issues. Pilots grappled with poor visibility during takeoff and landing, and the cramped and Spartan cockpit offered little comfort. The DR-1's short wingspan and fuselage made it prone to ground looping and noseovers. Landing presented additional challenges. As the tail dropped, the middle wing rotated downward, obstructing airflow to the tail surfaces and complicating ground handling. And while the DR-1 had excellent climbing ability, its subpar dive and level flight speeds left it vulnerable to faster Allied planes in many situations. This lack of speed often prevented German pilots from reaching the dogfights they excelled at in time. This difficult-to-operate aircraft demanded expert handling at a time when Germany faced a shortage of experienced pilots. October saw the loss of 2 more skilled aviators, Lieutenant Heinrich Guntermann and Lieutenant Gunther Pastor, who perished in similar strange incidents when their DR-1s broke apart in mid-air. With these mounting losses, the German High Command took decisive action. Before the model could attain widespread deployment, all triplanes were grounded by the end of the month. Faced with mounting evidence, military authorities demanded action, Fokker was ordered to conduct a thorough crash investigation and overhaul their production methods, all while footing the bill. At Fokker headquarters, engineers delved into the DR-1's wing structure, uncovering a host of issues. The aircraft's Achilles heel lay in its flimsily attached wingtips, ailerons, and ribs. These weaknesses, born from shoddy quality control rather than faulty design, left crucial wing spars vulnerable to water damage and decay. The upper wing proved especially susceptible, often peeling away entirely during flight. After rigorous testing of a reinforced wing at Aldershot, the Army cautiously greenlit the triplane's return to service on November 28th, with production resuming in early December. Yet, the DR-1's reputation remained tarnished. While failures became less frequent, the fighter never fully regained the trust of the Jagdstaffel, limiting its distribution across squadrons. The triplane's troubled history continued to unfold in the skies over France. On March 18, 1918, Lotto von Richthofen, brother of the Red Baron, narrowly escaped his end when his DR-1's upper wing disintegrated mid-combat against British fighters. Despite this close call, the fighter saw its peak deployment during the German Spring Offensive, launched a few days later, with 171 aircraft dotting the Western Front by late April. After using his fighter for a little over 6 months, Baron Manfred von Richthofen, who flew his Fokker with a now iconic red paint job, had racked up an impressive 19 victories for a total of 80. But even legends aren't invincible. On April 21st, in the skies above the Somme, the Red Baron was pursuing novice Canadian pilot Wilfred Wap May when a bullet found its mark. Whether fired by Australian ground troops or Canadian ace Captain Arthur Roy Brown remains hotly debated to this day. Though fatally wounded, Richthofen managed to land his beloved DR-1 one final time before drawing his last breath, forever linking the fate of Germany's greatest ace with the controversial Fokker DR-1. As the summer of 1918 approached, Germany was facing a much bigger issue than an unstable aircraft: looming defeat. The British naval blockade severely restricted the nation's access to castor oil, essential for rotary engine operations. Germans developed lower quality substitutes, leading to overheating, increased wear, and performance degradation. In the final months of World War I, the DR-1 was sidelined from frontline service in favor of the much easier-to-fly Fokker D-7. By fall, the triplane had been outclassed by several more advanced and heavily armed fighter aircraft, like the Spad S-13, Royal Aircraft Factory SE-5A, and the Bristol F-2B fighter. These scouts or pursuit planes featured greater firepower, speed, and agility compared to the DR-1. Following its shaky early operational history, coupled with the challenges of a nation losing a war, only 320 Fokker DR-1 planes rolled off the manufacturer's assembly lines. In 1929, research at NACA, NASA's predecessor, revealed that a triplane configuration like the DR-1's exerted up to 2.5 times more lift coefficient on the upper wing. This extreme difference likely contributed to many of the wing failures. Most aviation historians attribute the plane's numerous accolades directly to the skilled aviators who flew it, like the Red Baron. Reportedly, even Anthony Fokker himself was surprised at the acclaim his model received. Nonetheless, captured DR-1s tested by Allied pilots at fighter flying schools in Belgium and France were deemed impressive and well-made aircraft. Despite its flaws, the Fokker DR-1 truly revolutionized aerial combat. Its emphasis on maneuverability still influences modern-day fighters, like the F-35 Lightning, introduced 9 decades later. The DR-1's impact, however, transcends its technical specifications. Its now iconic 3-wing design, especially when painted in the Red Baron's distinct cherry red, became synonymous with Allied fear, not just on pilots and top command, but in the general public alike, for the first time in history.